All conversations and information exchanged during What If Nothing's Wrong podcast with Heidi Haddad, LCSW, are intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please do not confuse this with treatment, therapy, or psychotherapeutic advice or guidance. The information on these podcasts is supplemental and not meant to interfere with the therapeutic work between you and your professional therapist, counselor, or psychiatrist. Please understand that Heidi Haddad does not maintain the role of your psychotherapist, but rather offers an educated, professional perspective from that of a licensed clinical social worker.
When your anxiety is crippling and you're stuck inside your head, find your joy, find your joy. When your man won't touch you but you wanna have a baby, find your joy, find your joy. When you're walking down the street and you get punched in the face, find your joy, find your joy. When you wanna fire a bazooka at your neighbor's barking dog, find your joy, find your joy, find your joy, find
It becomes a bit
your joy.
from a non-bit to a bit.
All right. So last night on Twitter,
what happened on Twitter?
I wrote, at some point between 28 and 32 years, this was my prompt, most people, if not all, are faced with some sort of question, to be or not to be, with someone, move, new job, kid, travel, something that changes the course of your life. Did it happen, or is it now happening to you? Neither of you are in this age range, so this I can't.
But I was
you.
in this age range, and I could answer that it did.
Would
happen
you like to, Nelson? Go ahead.
Why, thank you for the invite, Heidi. Yeah, Ronnie will have to get back to us in 3 years.
3? Oh, geez.
You'll be 28 in 3 years, honey. Do the math.
Yeah, but I
She
mean,
said
like, I'm not be questioning that in 3 years.
You'll forget that we even had this conversation, and then something will happen, and you'll say, "Oh,
You'll think of that wise Heidi."
3 years.
Something
So-
happened," and then, or we'll be talking then, and I'll say, "Remember that, Carmen?" Or I won't remember either. Go ahead, Nelson, take it away from here.
Well, when I was 28, I got married when I was 30. So
Okay.
that was a really
Check
big change.
that box.
Yeah, that was a really big change. And one could argue that your identity, it's just a piece of paper and blah, blah, blah. But you do go from being partners with somebody or boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever with somebody to being their spouse. And it is different and it feels different. And
No, marriage qualifies. You don't, without having
Absolutely.
to explain. It's just that you're making a big life change.
a big life change.
It's
yeah.
not about what happens in the life change as much as it's a big life. The choice to do it is the transitional piece. And then you do it. Also transitional. Everything that comes out, then that's life.
Yeah. So that was my big change. Happened, got married when I was 30.
I went to the Peace Corps.
Wow.
Mm.
That was my big, I need to go to the Peace Corps. I need to get out of here. I'm going to go to the Peace Corps.
I go Peace Corps.
I'm going to go Peace Corps. And when
I stop using pronouns. I just go Peace Corps.
And
Same
when I
time.
come out of there, when I come out, yeah, we got to get to the point here. When I get out of that, I am going to have a new plan because what I'd been doing in my 20s was having a good time.
Yeah.
And there's no regret there. I had a great time in my 20s, but I also didn't think that was going to last, or I didn't want it to last for that. But I had to do something.
Yeah.
So
you needed a change.
Yeah, I needed a
and
career.
you didn't just go for a new haircut or hair
Hanging
color.
out and partying wasn't my career. Yeah.
So and you went to Africa, right?
I went to Africa.
What country in Africa?
I went to Malawi. I had an amazing. I didn't think I was going to talk about it. I went to Malawi, had an amazing experience. I strongly encourage anybody who wants to do the Peace Corps to do it, no matter what your age. They take everybody, and it's a really amazing experience.
Wow.
That is my plug for the Peace Corps.
Did you feel like it profoundly changed you?
It profoundly changed me.
And why is that?
I got a career. Here we are.
Yeah.
When I got to Malawi, I thought I was a teacher.
Mm.
That was my my role there. I was going to be, I was supposed to teach English and life skills.
And she's still doing it.
I didn't much like the being a teacher.
Teach me English every day.
Well, I think she might be teaching us some life skills. I'm just saying.
I didn't much enjoy standing in front of a classroom and teaching in a traditional sense, but I did like working with the youth. And so I decided I was going to, and I like doing the life skills and talking to teenagers about sex and decision making and how to avoid contracting HIV and all of that. And then my choice was between doing something therapeutic, whether it was social work or psychology or anything in that realm where I'd get to work with youth, or become a lawyer and advocate for youth. And so I remember saying this to my mother at the time. I'm not sure if I should maybe I'll do social work or I'll become a lawyer. And 2 days later, I had a DHL package of the books to apply to the law, not law school, but the LSATs.
The LSATs, yeah. Isn't that a shocker? Mom was like, my daughter the social worker, my daughter the lawyer. Which one do I like better? The sound of.
So I, of course, went in the opposite direction. And
if she'd sent you like all the different schools that have a really good MSW program, would you have gone, Mom, I think I'm going to be a lawyer?
That is a really good question, Nelsie. In a parallel universe, that'd be a really interesting experiment, if you will.
Yeah.
Needless to say, I went MSW path. And so, yeah. So I applied. So I don't forgot the thread. I applied to graduate school while I was in Africa and got in to many of them.
You were 28?
And then I was 29 when I went to the Peace Corps. Yeah.
So you decided your career at 29?
Yeah. Maybe 30.
Well, yeah, I feel like that's like a lot of people my age don't know that, like that you can do that.
I know.
Most people my age.
Most people your age think that they've have to have figured it out and already be halfway to a millionaire, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That's 100%.
You could tell them my secret.
Peace Corps.
No, well, the crazy thing about that mentality is that, if people my age, if they don't feel like they're in the right direction, on the right track, then they just feel defeated, and they don't want to do anything anymore. And they don't do anything at all because they're like, what's the point? And then, there's all this stuff that happens, like mental health and suicides. And it's a pattern that I've noticed. And it's just, I don't know, it's ridiculous because people think there's like a small amount of time.
Heidi, do you experience that in your practice?
I would say most of the millennials that I see are professionals or have a job that that has a career path in it, whether they stay on it or not. There's a course, but I don't know. And yes, and when they're thinking about changing, it's rife with all kinds of fear. And I say this to my nieces and nephews also, and have said this when they're applying to college, or anyone, or my friends' kids who are applying to college, and they're so worried about where they're going to go to college, and so they have to make the right decision. And I say, who cares? It just doesn't matter wherever you go.
There's this illusion that decision of where you go to college is going to shape the rest of your life. And it has some effect on it, but it's such an illusion.
But for me, it's about the experience. I went to one college for my freshman year. It was based on randomly choosing a college out of many, I don't mean millions of colleges. I had no idea where I wanted to go. I didn't know what kind of college would be the right fit for me. Did I want a big school? Did I want a small school? Did I want an arty school? Did I want a preppy school, which because of where I grew up, but I had no idea. And then in the end, I randomly was like, okay, I'll go to that one. Figured it's a hit or miss. Yeah, and then it was a total hit for 1 year. I had a fantastic first year and was very clear I wasn't going to stay for the next 3, and then transferred and then had a amazing experience for my next 3 years, which was all about the experience. It's not just about, I took some great classes that really broadened my perspective, and totally broadened my perspective. And I met some great people, and I partied and I had fun, and I got to experience lots of different things and meet lots of different people, and I wasn't living at home. And that was a big, huge plus. And I was doing my own thing. I had my independence for the most part, some level of independence. And that's what college should be about in my mind. If you have the ability to have that be your truth, if you're fortunate enough to be able to just go to college and have that experience. And I know that is ableist and it's very particular to a certain group of people and
socioeconomic
people out and all of that. And I get that.
Yeah.
So I'm just speaking to the idea to those people who are going, oh, should I go to Princeton? Or what if I go to,
or what if I take a gap year? Or what if
I take a gap year? My whole life is going to blow up. I can't take a gap year, and just trusting that the net is going to appear if you leap. When you leap, that net will appear, and just trust. There's so much fear and anxiety. If I don't get this job, if I don't get the school, if I don't, there's all this noise when it all work out. It will.
What if nothing's wrong?
What if nothing's wrong?
What if nothing's wrong? So Ronnie, I feel like you have had this, like, I feel like you've had since you were 6 and you were bugging your dad to get you the next camera or the next microphone or whatever. I feel like you've had a really clear idea of what you want to do. Not that it hasn't changed a little bit, but you have this. Why do you think that is? And because I don't see you as fear-based. Am I wrong? I mean, aside from the fact that you've had anxiety attacks that have sent you to the hospital. Aside from
I
that,
know, besides his mental breaks, what? How you really on your goal? You're really staying on your path.
But I guess because you recognize, you see all this fear in your friends. Where's your fear level?
Also
another spit take. I'm not sure why that made her laugh. What's your fear level?
Because we're commenting on his mental challenges, his mental health challenges, and how he's been to the hospital. We're like, do you have any fears? Do you have any fears at all?
Listen down. I don't know how strong it affects me.
How much time do we have? How much time do we have?
I mean, I feel incredibly lucky to know what I'm good at and also what I like. You know what I mean?
It's like you feel lucky that you're with us, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
of course you do. Yeah, sure. Though
that too.
Women.
Yeah, because I have a lot of friends. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people my age who are just like, I don't know what I want to do, and they've just been stuck on this thing for a couple of years. Where they're like, what do I have to do? What am I deciding to do for the rest of my life? When it's not really like that. But yeah, I was also kind of lost in with my skills and what I like to do, how it would fit in my life to work for me. You know what I mean? Because
you were, and then what happened?
I mean,
did you meet somebody named Nelsie Spencer who gave you purpose and a vision?
I mean, yeah, there's the podcast now. I do a bunch of podcasts. I do 4 podcasts a week. But yeah, I mean, when I was in college, I took film, right? And I thought I was gonna do film, movies and stuff. And I was like, yeah, but I also don't want to do that. I mean, I don't really care about directing because I thought I was gonna be a director because I'm like, oh, that's what you do, right? And then when I went to not film school, but I went to college and took film, I realized that this is is not as rewarding as I thought it was gonna be. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It was super lost for a while because I dropped out of college, and then I was like, I don't know what to do. Went into marketing, and then did marketing for companies for the past 2 or 3 years. Doing social media and content, and then realized I was still doing the same thing. I was still making stuff. But then there's some people my age right now at 25 who I dropped out of college after 1 semester. But they graduated college and they're incredibly depressed because they went to college taking something and they don't know what to do with it, And now
versus you, so I was like, I dropped out, so I shouldn't know.
Yeah, well, yeah,
so it's okay that I don't know.
I had to figure it out super fast, but then also it was easier for me because I kind of knew,
Right, because you've had a passion from a really young age, though, right? Not everybody has that.
Yeah, I don't even really consider it a passion because it was just something I like doing. It was more of like a passionate hobby, you know.
We call that a passion in our
I don't know.
language.
Passion, passion sounds so much more romantic. You know what I mean? For me, it's more like killing time.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
I don't know.
That's a lie, said the
But you're
licensed
saying if
clinical
you say
social worker.
it's a passionate hobby, that's still
I feel like passion is more
that's
like
not like, oh, I've got nothing else to do. I'll play with this Rubik's Cube.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess.
that's a
Why
hobby.
was that my reference?
Well, because that doesn't get you anywhere, except for
That's
maybe to
right.
that Rubik's Cube
I
competition.
never completed a Rubik's Cube
No,
in my
me neither.
life.
Yeah, me neither.
But here's the bigger picture. I think Ronnie and Nelsie is just that
Yes.
it's a journey, right?
It's a
Either way, it's a journey, and
Yeah.
it's not. There are very few people, even those people who are equestrians, right? And they're riding from childhood, and they, where I just pulled that one out of, and they're riding. Yeah, and they ride and they're in competitions and they're doing their thing for years and they're in their 20s and fast forward to they're not going to do that their whole life. That was something they did and maybe they were passionate about or excited about and they did what they did and then eventually they might come to a different place. Maybe they stay in the equestrian world and do something else. I'm not going to name those things because I don't really know, but I will say or they could change it up entirely. I met somebody and I met somebody, a woman who was late in her 60s, I believe, maybe even in her 70s, who was in the process of getting her licensure as a social worker or as a therapist. That meaning that she had just gone to graduate school, had been in education her whole life, and then decided she didn't want to do that anymore and went and got her master's degree, bless you. And that was bless you to Ronnie, not just a general blessing to the world. And
Bless you. Bless you, listeners. Bless you.
Bless you all.
Blessings. And she went to graduate school and decided to become a therapist and was in the process of had a supervisor to get her because you need a supervisor to get your license at licensure hours in her late 60s, early 70s. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
Versus those people who are saying, like, I've had this heinous job my whole life, and what else can I do? I'm 34. I can't change anything.
Right. I'm 34. Life is over. When I decided, I've done, I went to college as a dance major and then I switched to a theater major. And then I left college after a year and a half and went to New York and went to acting school in New York. And then I was an actor for a while. And then I wrote a play and then I was a playwright and an actor. And then I wrote a novel and then I did stand-up for a while. I've had so many different careers or jobs. But I remember when I was 20, when I was in college and I thought I don't have time to get my degree because I took a year and a half off between 2.5 years off between graduating high school and going to college. I thought at 22, I thought I'm too old. I don't have time to get my degree. So that belief, I am too old, is just bullshit. It's just a bullshit belief that can hit you when you're 22, 62, 82, 12. It's bullshit. You're the age that you are and, allow yourself to do what you want to do. Have the adventure, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah, right on. Right on, sister. Fucking hey, babe. So what kind of responses did you get on Twitter?
Well, thanks for asking.
Heidi has just brought this entire new persona to the fore, and I'm enjoying it. She's lovely. Yes, go ahead.
Somebody
darling.
wrote, when I was 28, I decided that I was allowed to be whatever kind of mother I needed to be, rather than the one others expected me to be. Alternative parenting is so isolating, but it has also led me to some of the most important and secure decision making. Life is better now.
Mm.
I like that one.
What was the term she used? Alternative parenting? What was the?
That is exactly the term. Which, Nelsie, we have this conversation all the time, I think, just about how to raise your kids, raising your children outside of the conventional norms of what is expected. And I don't want to get into this whole thing because I think we're going to talk about it another time. And it's a much broader conversation about even actually just a theme. Let's just say it's a theme that we talk about even with so much is happening in my head at the same time. I can't get it out.
It's just little explosions in
There
the
are like
brain.
14 threads that just, I'm just going to move on. We've talked about it. We're going to keep talking about it. And that's that. So someone said, I was 29 working at an auto parts store when I chose to pursue my dream job of being a professional race car mechanic. By 31, I had moved to California and was traveling extensively as part of a professional pit crew / mechanic that lasted for 7 years, met most of my childhood heroes.
Wow.
I got chills. That is so awesome. I love that.
And I like that.
Yeah, in your tweet you say at some point between 28 to 32, people are faced with some sort of question, right? Like a big life change. I don't see myself making that big as like a huge life change from 28 to 32. I don't know that, but as of now, I feel like it's too early to do that.
Oh, you feel
You know
like
what I
when
mean?
even though it's 3 to 7 years in the future, you still think you're not going to be making big changes then.
Yeah, like my parents got married at 28, 27, and that's 2 years from now. That's not happening for me. And I know that.
But
I
you
know
I
that.
think this is to be
But you
determined.
don't.
No, but I do though, because like even if I was in a relationship right now and we were together for 2 years, I would still be like, no. And you know what? Probably the person I'm with probably were like, no, either.
Appreciate what you're saying, and I strongly encourage you to recognize that you have no idea.
I'm sure, but then it's like
just,
I'm
yes,
sure I don't
you
have
can
any
say
idea,
like I don't
but I'm
want to
pretty
be.
sure I do.
Yeah,
I know it's not. I'm not
it's
saying
my
I'm not
outlook,
disagreeing.
Really,
right? I'm not disagreeing. Of course, I'm not disagreeing with your outlook, and I'm not disagreeing with the perspective of like I don't want to be married before I'm 30. That's
Nothing is
totally
certain.
fine, right? You just who knows what's coming down the
Yeah.
pike? Can't we say
Yeah.
the same for where literally all three of us are right now? In this very moment, like in the pandemic / kind of on the outskirts of the pandemic / on our way back into the pandemic. I mean, all of it. Knowing each other, doing
I
this
think about
podcast.
Go ahead, Ronnie.
For real. I mean it. For
No,
real.
I know. Well, my parents got married right at 28. My mom was 27. My dad was 28. But they also had me that year also. And they've been together for 2 years. So just in my perspective, I'm like, that's just not happening. I'm not going to be married with a kid and a baby, you know?
Aren't they happily married?
Yeah, they are. But I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I do know what you mean, and you might absolutely be right. I mean,
And
you might absolutely be right.
wrong.
I might be wrong,
Yeah.
but I'm probably not.
Cha-cha.
Well, I wasn't in really a hurry to get married. And I wasn't in a hurry to have kids. So I got married when I was 30. I had my kids when I was 37 and 39. So that is how it shook out for me. But
the point is that he has this idea. Thank you for sharing that, Nelsie. The point is that he has this idea of that's not going to be his story. And our point is you never know what's coming. And
True.
Generally speaking, there is just some major change. Somebody wrote, I'm not going to find it right now, but somebody had written something to the effect of it makes sense because you basically have your 20s and you get to a point where you have to grow up and recognize that you need to get your life together and figure out what you're doing. So therefore you make some major change. Although I don't disagree with what this person is saying. At the same time, I know people who have just left and like myself, but who have left and just left wherever they're living. And they just picked up and said, okay, this isn't working for me. I'm going to go on this adventure. Like, for example, I have had clients who are grappling with, should I get a new job? Do I like my job or should I just pick up and leave and travel around the world? And I say, leave, go travel around the world because if you're wanting to, and it's on your mind, get out, go do it.
Yeah.
And if you
that.
can, right? Financially or anything like that, whatever, or not, sometimes it doesn't, once you get over there, you could figure it out. I think that's still the case. It used to be.
Well, I know my son and his girlfriend, he's 25 and she's only 21, but So they're not at that crossroads, but they went to a wedding recently, a fancy wedding that was at the Rainbow Room, and then blah, blah, blah. And so they went into New York, and I was like, so how was it? It was so great. And Samantha, my son's girlfriend, was like, we want to move there. And I was like, do it. Like move
to New York,
live in New York in your 20s. Why not? It's great. It's arguably the greatest city in the world.
She says from over the bridge in New Jersey.
No, but Raina's in California. And when Raina was deciding,
I thought you said your son's girlfriend.
No, but my other child is in California. And when she was trying to decide whether she was going to stay in New York after graduate school or go to LA, she said, I think I need to go to LA because that's TV. I said, honey, go. I support you. Like, if Malcolm decided to go to Australia, would I be sad and would I miss him? Yeah, but I wouldn't hold him back for a second because, have some adventures. Like, I'm all about that. Life is long and, go out there and
you have time.
What? She's laughing again. She's laughing. We don't even know.
You said life is long, and I was going to say, so is the story, but then I thought that was rude.
Okay, first of all, fuck you. And secondly,
it's not even long.
It wasn't a long story.
It wasn't at all. It wasn't. That's why I didn't say it.
But
I
you
laughed
did.
Instead.
Ultimately, you did.
But you
Ultimately, you did.
At the end of the day.
You said it. Yeah. All right, I still love you.
So
I don't know why,
said,
but I do. I'm in an abusive relationship. Heidi, I'm in an abusive relationship. Can you help me with that? I don't know how to get out because she's funny and I like her.
You think you should stay? You should figure it
out. Definitely. Just talk about how you feel. Communicate. Have you tried that yet?
Communicate.
So somebody else wrote, how many days in a row can a person urinate blood before they can be seen by a doctor? Insurance company says 12 days is not enough. So what is the higher number?
The first day. The first day.
Okay.
Yeah. What the hell?
So, and that was in response to your prompt about when you're 28?
Yeah. Correct.
12 days.
So somebody responded to this guy and said, IDK if this is a serious question or why it's on this thread, but you should not be urinating blood at all, and you should get yourself to the emergency room quickly. It could be your kidneys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just saying, some random little, not a doctor, by the way.
Yeah.
Mental health.
But the person who answered.
But it doesn't sound good, no.
Might
have been
They should. Pretty
sure there's no gray area about, urinating blood.
I don't think so. That's not good. No.
Well, I have something to talk about that I could use some insight on. Oh, I don't even know if it's insight on. I don't know what. I've got this dog that I love who has fear aggression, they call it, because it's a reaction to her being afraid. She has aggressive tendencies, and I finally.
Is this going to be about your dog? Just by the way, because none of us are dog experts.
No, I know you're not dog experts, but I guess what I want to talk about is my frustration of getting together with this woman who's basically, I can't help you because your dog needs intensive. What your dog needs
like a dog whisperer?
Something. She's a dog whisperer. And I really liked her and blah, blah, blah. And she met Callie and Callie lunged at her, I don't know, 8 or 10 times in an hour.
Wait, is this the one you met at the cafe?
I met her. She waited on me. She's a waitress, a wait person. And her name's Samantha and she's great. And she's like, she needs something more intensive. So then I call the place that's supposed to do intensive and they're like, well, we don't really do aggressive. We don't really do that anymore because we have puppies here. But why don't you call the University of Pennsylvania? So then I called because they have a clinic. So then I called no, right? So now I'm at fucking UPenn, right? And I'm already willing to drop a bundle because people cannot come to my house. Right. So then by the time I'm on the phone with UPenn, I'm almost in tears. Because they're like, yeah, well, they have you get a physical and then we have a tele interview. I'm like, so wait, so she comes in, you make sure she's okay, then you talk to me on the phone for 2 hours. What's this going to cost you? It's $218 an hour. Oh, okay. And so then what happens? Well, then we
$218
dollars an hour.
It's very specific.
Yeah, I know. Well, they thought 220 sounded too much. So they just, and 215 sounded really cheap.
Too low.
So they went for 218.
Yeah.
And then she's like, and then
They don't want to give it away.
Right. And then we recommend like medication. And I'm like, so you're not really doing anything for me. Mm-hmm. So then I call my vet who recommends a behaviorist. And I call this guy and his name's Jim Gentile. How's that for a name? Not
Stage
Jewish.
name.
And exactly. He used to, okay. The point I'm making here is me starting to feel overwhelmed and sad and like I can't fix this dog. And
Well, how much does it affect your interactions?
Ronnie, you cannot come to my house. Heidi cannot come to my house. I cannot have people that I love come to my house and stay in my beautiful house 15 minutes from the ocean.
Because
I can't have someone come because of my dog. If my dog doesn't like your dog, you're not in.
Is it possible that Callie needs a different environment? And I mean that as many jokes as I'd really like to make, I'm for real. Maybe she needs to live on a farm, live somewhere where she has.
But the problem is she can't be rehomed because she's so First of all, I wouldn't rehome her because I couldn't do it. And I couldn't do it. So bottom line is I'm going to work with this guy who's worked with police dogs, and I think it's all going to work out okay. But I guess I just wanted from you, Heidi Haddad, licensed clinical social worker. I mean, maybe what I need is a little bit, what if nothing's wrong? Because I just this morning, after feeling like I kept bumping into some fucking bullshit, and I'm looking at my precious angel who adores me and to me is the sweetest dog. I just started getting in a real fear place of like, I should have done this 3 years ago. A lot of shoulda, woulda, coulda. A lot of like, I don't know, feeling like I'm not going to find the solution and I'm going to have her for 12 more years, you know?
Have you seen Dog Whisperer?
Yeah. This guy that I have
How many more years?
12.
Yeah. How old's the dog?
She's 4, but she's a little dog. So she could live to be as old as 16.
Have you tried the Caesar Milan?
This guy that I have kind of on the hook, he has trained police dogs, and he said, you know, you're the one who needs to be trained because you need to be.
That's what Ronnie and I have been saying.
But that is also what Caesar Milan says. He's like,
that's what Caesar Milan says.
Yeah, and you have to do like the.
I have to be the pack leader. Yeah, right. Yeah,
you got to do that.
Ronnie is making some weird sound and face into the microphone for those of you who can't see.
It's a Caesar Milan. He does that, and he puts his hand on like their neck or whatever.
Physical correction. There's a physical correction. Yeah.
Should try it.
So that's all. I guess I just needed because I've sort of been ignoring it, like, oh, it's going to get better, and it hasn't gotten better, and now. You know, I basically had an assessment with someone yesterday who was like, yeah, I don't think I can help her. She needs something more and better and bigger.
I have the same problem.
You have the same problem? You do not.
With my dogs at home in the Philippines. And there's a weird dynamic. We have 3 pugs. One pug is like the pack pug, right? He's like the big alpha, right? And I swear, like, this dog is not a regular pug. It's like, he's like buff. He's like a buff pug. I think what happened was they were breeding the dogs. They were breeding the dogs to be like really strong. And so we have a really buff black pug. And he's like super aggressive for a pug. And we can't let him inside the house because we have like 9 cats and a rabbit. So we can't. And then he has like we have the female who he's very protective about. And then we have the puppy, which if you touch the puppy, you're screwed. You're gonna die. And it's a pug. And it sucks because what are you gonna do? Are you gonna put him down?
Heidi's ready. Like Heidi's ready to kill herself. Like she does not have dogs. Like I'm not a dog expert. Why did we go down this road?
Why are we talking about this? And why don't you just save this scintillating conversation for your losing it podcast when you guys talk about whatever.
You
talk
might be
about
right.
dogs there.
She might be right about that. She might
Oh,
be
that's
right
good.
about
You could
that.
take this conversation, cut me out, and just insert it into your losing podcast. Or keep me in.
All right. Okay.
I mean,
so here's the
here's
deal.
the thing, Nelsie. Your
Go.
overwhelm is that the reason there's nothing to say about it is because you have an answer. You're not actually asking me
What's
for
the
anything.
answer?
You have an answer for the whole thing. She's like, what if nothing's wrong? And being in acceptance of what is. And she's also researching her options. I'm trying to figure out how to help her dog. Oh, good job, Nelsie.
Just pat me on the top of the head. Can you give me a treat?
It
Good,
does.
what a
It
good
sucks.
girl.
It sounds really frustrating and overwhelming and annoying that you keep going down this trail. Yet you obviously care enough about your dog that you followed the trail and you're trying to figure it out.
You know
Good for
what you
you.
really want to do is you want to have a conversation with your dog.
Communicate
Yeah.
with your dog.
That's
That is
really what you want to
Escape.
do.
Ronnie.
If
Yes.
you could, that would fix everything. If you had a
Sit
conversation,
down and talk to Callie.
Yeah.
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 Just tell her that. yeah.
Callie, you're making
Well-
life difficult.
Well, I have to be the alpha dog, so I have to say, listen, bitch, back the fuck
Oh.
off.
That is no. That's not how we communicate on this episode or on this show. That's in your other podcast again.
Well,
I think the line is getting blurry.
You're still blurry, by the way.
Yeah.
Just
So is
you
this
brought it up.
conversation.
You brought
Just
it up.
so is this.
All right, so okay, so time to move on. I will keep the listeners, not Heidi, but I will keep the listeners of Losing It abreast of the Callie situation, and we'll move on because I think we did it.
Look, I want to talk about video games. Like, the people who play video games have increased rapidly in the past decade. You know, everyone and their, brother is playing video games now. And,
Not my brother.
well, if you think about it, video games have also, they have video games on every platform now. Like, you have it on your phone, your tablet, on your computer. There are upsides to both sides, right? There's obviously the downsides are really obvious. It's really addictive. It's time consuming. There's a bunch of stuff, right?
And it's stupid.
I mean, you can say it's stupid. You can say
Just
it's
kidding.
stupid.
I'm not judgmental that way. I'm not.
See, that's the thing.
What do I know? I don't know. Go ahead.
What's the thing?
You play Bejeweled?
Ugh.
No.
The one. Wait,
what's
is that the?
Bejeweled? What is
Actually, I
that?
don't know why I'm making that face. That's not the one where things are in a row and you're.
That's the
No,
one.
that's Candy Crush. Oh,
Oh,
that's
it's the same
Bejeweled.
thing, right?
Same
And
thing.
I
I
don't
think.
know.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the same thing. Candy Crush
I play Boggle. I do play that. So I do play a word,
on your phone. See?
Yeah.
See,
on
so
my phone.
everyone, you know how crazy, since the pandemic, how many people have started playing video games and just checked out? It's so, I was actually telling you this, Heidi, I was telling you this when you were buying your new laptop and you were talking about the new Mac that was coming out. The demand of video cards, what you build computers with, is so high that they've become this new thing where people wait
like currency.
3 days for just to buy a video card for graphics for a video game. It's insane. And the aftermarket price of stuff is about 6 times the original price. This is how crazy video games has been. And also, in the past year, I know 5 people have spent $4,000 on their video game setup. That's each.
So I feel like you have an opinion about this and it's slightly veiled, but you think, are you sort of saying, is this something we should be concerned about? And is it?
Well, yeah. See, this is the thing. I play video games. I play video games. I'm one of the people. I built a computer, I play video games on the Xbox, PS4, and PC, and Switch, and my phone.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
How many hours a day?
The thing is that the way that games are designed now is that they're so addictive that I know that for a fact that I can't play them every day. But when I do play them, I play for a long time, right? The problem is people just check out with these video games, especially during the pandemic. and the VR and all this stuff. The people haven't progressed. You know what I mean? Like, it's a bit concerning, is what I'm trying to say, right? There's a lot of people defending the video
Are you
games.
concerned about yourself?
I'm not really concerned about myself, but I'm concerned about a lot of people in my life.
That's what they all say.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I mean, like, I don't want to be one of the people who are like, you know, fuck video games, because there are benefits to the video games. Like, I definitely play video games to like relax and socialize these days, especially during lockdown, because I can talk to my friends and stuff. But for some people, they like this whole year is it's their job almost. Like, they wake up, play video games, go to bed, pass out in front of their TV. You know, this is not uncommon. You know, this is extremely not uncommon.
So do you have a question for Heidi? Are you posing a question?
Before he even, whether he does or not, I will say I've also experienced this with my clients. I don't remember if we've ever talked about this, but my young clients who do that, who are fiercely defensive of their video gaming and of their gaming. Let's just say it like that. And then I also have clients who will describe talking to their friends. They'll use the language. I talked to my friends last night for hours. They don't say this. This is me quoting it. Talking to my friends, and then they differentiate when they're talking about their real life friends.
Oh, so there's in real life, right? Versus
Right. So they'll say, you know, I was hanging out with my friends last night, and then not my real life friends, but I was hanging out with my friends last night. That kind of,
Yeah.
where I then am trying to distinguish between, are you talking to them on the phone or you're texting? How do you decide what a conversation is? Not decide. How do you define conversation? So yes, I agree with everything you're saying, Ronnie. It seems to be a thing, and lots of people are doing it, and it's fiercely defended, and it's not particularly healthy to the extent that it's played. But is anything?
Right. If you're doing anything compulsively and endlessly,
Exactly.
is it good?
And that it's this world, and what game are you playing? And a lot of the games that I think that people are playing, correct me if I'm wrong, because this is more your world than mine, are violent. That they're not just playing Pac-Man or Frogger, if you will.
Yeah.
That it's a whole, or even
But, you know,
Mario
in that
Brothers.
Pac-Man,
Like
he's
even Mario
eating.
Brothers, which people played, it was, maybe this is never a thing. I don't know what they used to game back in the day, but for me, video games were those things. And it was, you're going through a maze and you have to get to levels, but it wasn't, you're not trying to kill things to get there. I mean, maybe you're stomping on a turtle, but not.
You're not chopping off a head with a sword and then the blood is spurting.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen in Mario Brothers.
I did that last night.
Yeah.
I honestly, that's another side of it where I'm like, the violence thing in games, I don't think it really affects. I mean, I think there is a percentage where it does affect them, but for the most part, I don't think it doesn't influence violence, I think.
I think that studies show that it numbs the people out to thinking that it's something that it's not real. So that if a kid who's playing with guns on video games picks up an actual gun, will shoot it because it's as real as it is on the screen until somebody dies.
Yeah, I get that.
Whoa, so maybe for someone your age, you have a different perspective, and maybe you're someone that doesn't play with guns, so it's not even a thing that you're very clear that it's on a screen and you're playing a video game. But I think there are lots of other people that boundary is a lot looser, and for younger people, let's even go for people under 18 who are developmentally still growing, as we all are in our way, but for kids, they really are not able to decipher the different levels of real and not real. Even from, I was just having, this conversation about Harry Potter for a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old be watching Harry Potter and understanding, they don't literally cognitively understand the difference between what's make-believe on the screen of Voldemort, someone, what Voldemort is, or the murderous magic that people do. I mean, that it's scary. I mean, I read all the Harry Potters gripped, thinking, my God, now what's going to happen? And Harry Potter, Hermione, and Ron were always in dangerous situations where they were risk takers. 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds don't really understand the difference. And my 6-year-old will watch an animated show and he'll turn to me and say, "Is this real?" And I'm thinking,
I wish it was.
So
awesome.
But the fact that he even asks the question, might speak to him not being the brightest tool. No, I'm just kidding.
At first, I was like, "Did I hear that right?"
There was a big delay there for the two of you.
Just unsure.
Wow. I just am because I think that he understands so much. And I think this is the misconception, is that I think he gets so much because he does get so much. But when he's watching, we're sitting next to each other and watching Bambi, even something like that. And he says, "Is this real?" And I'm thinking, what are you? Hi. And yes, it's not real.
Yes.
I mean, well, I didn't know. I forgot what the question was, but it's not real. And this is a cartoon, and this is animation, and somebody drew this. And so I'm saying this on a really simple level of watching Bambi with a 6-year-old to other people who show their 6-year-olds all kinds of things, right? And that are much more complicated and violent than Bambi is in some ways kind of violent too, but we're not, well, I digress. And up until like you're 12 and you're 13 and you're 14 and understanding the nuanced difference between real violence and what you're playing on a game, and also that you're not connecting with people. If we take it to that level, you're not actually physically, if I'm talking to someone and they're doing this while I'm talking, I stop talking.
You're on your phone.
And they're like, they're on their phone and I'm having a conversation with them, or I'm talking to them. They're looking me in the eye, and then all of a sudden they pick up their phone and they're doing something, whether it's to look up a menu or because they're answering a text or they have to suddenly look at Instagram, whatever the reason is. I will stop talking. And then they say, "What? I'm listening." They're not looking at me. I'm over here, right? They say, "I'm listening." And I say nothing.
No, you're not.
Until they look at me. And I say, "When you're ready." That's an example. A small example versus.
Were you serious when you said "I hate that," Ronnie, or were you?
No,
Ronnie?
I'm serious.
Was
I
that
hate
serious?
No, he's serious.
Okay, I'm glad to hear it, because I feel like it's become in certain generations, it's become the norm. I mean, I was traveling. This was 10 years ago with Marina and one of her friends to take Malcolm on a surf trip in the Carolinas, and this was when texting had just happened, and Marina's friend had a new boyfriend, and she was on her phone texting the entire time, and I was incensed, but I didn't know. And this was 10 fucking years ago. And I was just
texting
like,
was started before 10 years ago, just
whatever, 20 years ago, 17, whatever the fucking date was. The point is, I was like, be with us, be in the car with us. And so I think that it's all the same, because it's like, if you're texting while I'm talking to you, or looking up a menu while I'm talking to you, or gaming, are you being present? And if you're gaming, you're being present with that game, but you're not being present with people. That it's not a real, I don't think it's a real connection. Just like the reason you don't want to talk to somebody when they're looking at their phone is because the connection is broken.
Although I've asked the kids who are in my practice what if they feel, with a grain of salt, if they feel that the connection is real, or I say, "What do you talk about? Are you actually having real conversations, or are you just talking?" And I've heard they are shopping together. I heard, how real are conversations at 12 and 13 anyway? That is not what I meant to say. Conversations when you're 12 or 13 are totally real. So that's not what I meant. I just mean, what's the difference? Whether they are face to face, eye to eye, ear to ear contact with a human is great. So when when any of them are talking to someone, they're gaming people just on chat. One, I worry about, are they really talking to another kid? And two, or B, my A's and B's. Ronnie, I recognize that I have a problem. I like to list things, but yet I never make it past the first number or letter. I say like A, and then we never hear any more about it. I've learned that about myself.
You've been listening to the podcast.
Yes.
Because we're fascinating.
So A, because we're fascinating, and the rest.
Yeah.
So
And so on.
And so on and so forth. Anyway, I'm hungry. What else?
I know,
So the point-
you guys.
Go,
Sorry.
Ronnie.
No, well, you guys say all this stuff, right? Like about
You guys.
what's gonna happen and all this stuff. But I have a little brother. He's 8 years younger than me. I've watched him grow up with video games, right? I've seen the evolution, right? And the interesting thing is that my brother, when he was really small, when he was like 9, like 7, 6, 5, single digits, you get where I'm going.
Yeah. We get where you're going. 4, 3,
got
2,
there,
1.
yeah.
Yeah, we get it.
Yeah.
We know how it works.
he was extremely aggressive. Like he was, and he had like rage issues.
Or like the pug. I think there's
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
there's a pattern.
Like he and he's the little brother. He's the little out of 3 of us. I have 2 siblings. He's the little brother, right? The youngest. He's a baby. And he used to have crazy aggression. Like when we would get into a fight, he almost broke my door, like in my bedroom, like one time. Like he almost broke it down. And he was probably like 9 at the time, right? And
What'd you do to piss him off, Ronnie? What had you done? You know.
But,
you know.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But it could have been anything.
We're gonna have him on the show.
Yeah.
But like, he was he was like that. And then there was a point where we got a console. We got a PS3 or something, right? And he was really on it.
We had a consultation with somebody regarding my brother's behavior. But no, we didn't have a consultation.
Well, we did. We talked, we had, we talked, we had guidance counselors.
That's what I thought you meant too.
No,
what do you mean? What
console.
like a game
PS2.
console?
Yes.
Oh, I thought that was a PS2 was a something they did in the Philippines for a consultation.
It's all over the world. They're made in Japan. Yeah, so he picked up his first video game and he loved the video games a lot, right? And my dad was strict. He was also like, you want like 2 hours or whatever. Like there was a screen time limit in the house. And since then, I noticed the aggression
limits are off.
dip a lot. Like today, as a 17-year-old, he's like the most relaxed person, which,
But we'll never know if that's because of the gaming.
We
or
don't
because
know.
He just grew out of it.
We don't know, but a lot of the games that he's played were very aggressive games. And he's been playing the games for about a decade now, right? So he's not violent at all. That's one thing. He's not violent at all. But he is definitely more accustomed to more graphic things. And I feel like that's a lot of his generation also because also the internet. You can look up anything or accidentally see things all the time. I used to see this stuff on the internet called the Pain Olympics where I saw someone cut his own penis off. Like that's something in my generation. Like we
maybe you
just know
should have led
stuff.
with that.
And you can never unsee that, unfortunately. So your theory is, Ronnie, that your little brother was aggressive and then started playing these aggressive video games, these violent video games. And your theory is that he got his aggressions out in this make-believe world.
I feel like it had something to do with it for sure. Like he had somewhere to exert his aggression or like, express his aggression without physically hurting me or my furniture.
I mean, okay, that worked for him. I don't know enough about that. I don't know that we can say, and not everybody who plays video games was super aggressive before they started playing video games and transitioned to not being so aggressive.
Yeah.
And also you're saying 10 years. I mean, that's his entire teenage life, right?
Yeah.
Not his entire, but the majority
Pretty
of his
much.
teenage life. And
No, it is. Yeah. He's 17.
yeah. So it's interesting. I'm glad he's not so aggressive anymore. B, there's way B.
Oh, B. You got nothing.
I don't have enough information about it. I think you know what? Everything works for some people sometimes, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a good safe answer. Say that for everything.
So that sounds like a really positive reality. We also aren't entirely sure
I think
that 1
the only reason
plus
I
1
bring it
equals
up,
2 in this.
The only reason I bring it up is because I feel like it's something to be considered, because it's not all one-sided. You know what I mean?
Of course not.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've had kids in therapy who say research shows the other side, that it's good for you. So
it's not black and white, I think.
I think to go back to anything in moderation. Can we stick with that?
Including moderation.
I'm not anti-gaming. I like games. I like lots of games, but I mean, nothing that you would know.
She likes charades. She plays Clue.
Rummy Cube.
She
Rummy
plays
Cube
Yahtzee.
is a great game.
Parcheesi.
I don't play Yahtzee. No, I don't not Parcheesi either. None
Monopoly.
Of that. I do like a good game of memory.
I don't know if I know that one.
Of course,
like
you know that one. Don't embarrass
You mean like
yourself.
concentration?
Remembering old times?
You turn the
Like being
turn
nostalgic?
the card.
That's why that song is my motto, whatever. The card. You know what? Oh, I'm not going to get it. I have a game.
Turn
right
a
in the other
card
room.
over. Turn 2 cards over. You're looking for the matches. Yeah, I call that concentration.
Correct. Thank you.
Oh.
That's a trait. It's called memory.
Is that with playing cards?
No, it's not. It's with and there's an actual game called Memory. They could have pictures of anything, different pictures of things on it, but they're just 2 of each, and you lay them all the pieces out on the floor or the table, and then each person turns
Saturday
over 2 at a
Heidi's
time.
house.
Celebrity. That's a fun game.
I like games. I love games.
But I do video. I do like video games, and I totally get into it. We've gone over to our friends who they have a Wii.
The Wii or Switch?
Is it
Switch?
Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
And we play their kid games on there because the kids are kids. I mean, they're little kids.
They like Mario Kart and stuff.
I'm all in
Social.
it. Yes,
it's all social. You know what I mean? Just have a good time.
And for that 7 hours that I'm there, I play some serious.
Whoa!
Yelling at the 6-year-olds, get out in front of the TV, I can't see. That happens.
I've witnessed some shit go down, especially with like the group game. Like there's this game where you all cook and you play like 5 people. And like I was
You're not really cooking. It's virtual cooking.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's in the video game. And there's like 5, you can have 5 controllers. And then I was with my ex-girlfriend and she brought all her friends. I'm the only guy. There was some serious like drama going down. Like, like, Jessica, what the fuck? Are you serious right now? It's like that, something like that. And then Jessica's like really quiet the whole time. And it's like, seriously, get your shit together. It's like, they've only been playing for like 2 hours. And I'm just like watching like, man, these are friends. You know what I mean?
Well, the good times.
Back in the day when my kids were growing up, not that there weren't video games, we weren't a real video game family. My kids actually had a real life cooking competition where here's your 5 ingredients, go. And so Malcolm and Raina were both like cooked, and then we did MasterChef at our Top Chef
back
at our
on
house.
The farm.
This is in our apartment in Harlem in Manhattan. Okay. So, we did kill the chickens ourselves and pluck them, but that's a whole other thing. But, so we did it in real life, and I love games. Don't get me wrong. I love games. And if I was with you and we had the Wii, I would be yelling, get the fuck out of the way. I'm very competitive. So I'm sure that my worst side would come out.
So in conclusion, we all like games. Nobody's judging games. We're just talking about having some level of moderation and maybe developmentally appropriate content.
There we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
See you guys next week.
That was hard. That was really hard.
See you next week.
Plugs.
Bring your plug. Oh, right.
Subscribe.
Listen, rate, and subscribe. Tell your friends. You can DM us on Instagram. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. You can leave a comment if you're watching us on YouTube. Yeah.
Apple Podcast.
Rate, review,
Look, Nelsie's
and
dancing with me.
subscribe wherever you listen.
So is Ronnie.
All right.
This is like a
You're all
meditation.
everybody's doing this.
Hypnotized.
So, see you next week.
Tootie.
Ludi.
Bye.
When you're out to cock, a father doesn't recognize you. Find your joy. When you're spooning with a stranger and they won't let you kiss them. Find your joy. When your house reeks of weed and your kids hallucinating. Find your joy. Find your joy. When you're sick, you're dick and skimpy, but your dog likes Jiffy. Find your joy.
You've been listening to the What If Nothing's Wrong podcast with Heidi Haddad, LCSW, Nelsie Spencer, that's me, and Ronnie Whaley. Tweet us and join Heidi's weekly AMAs on Twitter at Heidi L. Haddad, or tweet the What If Nothing's Wrong podcast at WINW Pod. That's at WINW Pod on Twitter. You can also email us at whatifnothingswrong@gmail.com. The What If Nothing's Wrong podcast is produced and edited by the amazing Ronnie Whaley.